Nick Rekeita has been really big on the whole Kyle Rittenhouse deal for quite a while. He's probably Kyle Rittenhouse's strongest supporter in terms of his viewing audience. So Kyle does owe Nick Rekeita quite a bit. I mean, he hasn't put in the effort that I have, but he has far more viewers. So you got to give it up to the dude. However, he went on recently to talk about Dominick Black, and he's a Dominick Black supporter, don't get me wrong. But about 2 hours ago, he put out this video explaining the Dominick Black situation, and he got a lot of stuff wrong. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnnie Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnnie Walker Dread Show.
Dominick Black has been accused of several things in regards to this particular firearm. One, that he was some sort of straw purchase, an illegal straw purchase, and two, that he provided this gun illegally to Kyle Rittenhouse on the night of the self-defense shootings.
Okay, so first of all, Dominick Black was accused by a lot of people in the media and in the public of engaging in a straw purchase. However, not by the state. The state never had any problems with the purchase itself, and there's a very good reason why, and that is that the straw purchase, even if it was a straw purchase in Wisconsin, was perfectly legal. I went through this in one of my videos and very thoroughly showed that for that purchase to have been illegal, Kyle's possession of that rifle would have had to have been a felony. And not just any felony, a certain type of felony. I'll walk through it. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to go back and watch my earlier video. But whatever the case, the reason why the state of Wisconsin never charged Kyle for a straw purchase was it was a perfectly legal purchase, even if Dominick Black truly did buy the gun for Kyle, even if he had given Kyle possession of the rifle afterwards and let him have it, let him take it back to Illinois, it would not have mattered. It would have still been a legal purchase. Now, the feds, that's a different story, okay? The feds have a different standard for straw purchase, but not the state of Wisconsin. Again, Kyle's possession of that rifle was at most a misdemeanor, minor in possession, or actually what it's called is possession of a rifle by a person under the age of 18. There is a distinction between those two. But whatever the case, it's a misdemeanor. And therefore, the purchase by Dominick Black to give the rifle to Kyle would have been perfectly legal if that's what would have happened.
Both of those things are incorrect, and Dominick Black has only actually been charged with one of them, and that is illegally providing the gun to a minor. Now,
and again, the reason why he was only charged with one of them was because the straw purchase law does not apply to Kyle.
This is kind of a controversial charge at the onset, but let's kind of take a brief look at what happened, okay? Or not really a look. I'm just going to tell you what happened. So a while back, before all of this riots and everything took place, Dominick Black purchased a gun with money provided to him by Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, Kyle Rittenhouse asked Dominick Black to buy this gun. He said, "Hey, can you buy this gun?" Dominick Black said, "Well, I can, but we're going to work out this thing where you don't get the gun until you're 18 years old." I mean, I don't know if that's exactly how the conversation went down, but an agreement was reached where he would purchase the gun using Kyle Rittenhouse's money, but the gun would remain in Dominick Black's possession until Kyle Rittenhouse was 18 years old.
That's their testimony. There's no testimony to anything otherwise. However, there was another scenario that would land him in trouble. And that was if Dominick Black bought the rifle to give to Kyle and his dad said, "Are you crazy? You can't buy a gun for a minor. That's a violation of federal law. Here, let me take that rifle. We're going to put it away. We're not going to let Kyle have it." In that case, Dominick Black could still be on the hook because there was an intent to break the law and there was an actual action carried out. However, it's going to be impossible to prove that. Dominick Black's dad is obviously not going to go along with that story, and neither of the two boys suggested that's what happened. And so the feds are facing a real uphill climb on this one. They would have to prove that Dominick Black bought the gun for Kyle to use anytime he wanted, because it would be, for all practical purposes, Kyle's rifle. Good luck with that one. But let's not discount the fact that that's what could have happened.
Jump Kick Man was never officially identified, and he, of course, was not actually shot by Kyle Rittenhouse. The two shots he fired missed.
It's Maurice J. Freeland. That's Jump Kick Man.
But that being said, Kyle acquires the gun from Dominick Black on that night and goes out and shoots him. So Dominick Black has never been charged with a straw purchase for Kyle Rittenhouse. And there are several reasons why he is not charged with a straw purchase. But the primary one is because a straw purchase typically requires some level of immediacy to the transfer of the firearm. Like, I give you the money, you go into the store, you grab the gun, you bring it and give it to me imminently, pretty quickly. The idea is never that you're going to actually own or possess the firearm, but rather it's mine and you're getting it for me in an effort to hoodwink or cover up the federal process, the federal background check process that happens when you buy one of these rifles.
Okay, that's a very pro-Dominick interpretation of the law, but I can't seem to find it codified anywhere. As far as the possession of the rifle and how it affects the straw purchase, I have looked everywhere. I don't see it. I'm not doubting what he is saying is true. I would like to see some verification of it, though.
So if Dominick Black wasn't intending to buy the rifle as a straw purchase to immediately transfer to Kyle Rittenhouse, you're going to have real problems with the prosecution of a straw purchase. Even if he was ultimately buying it for Kyle to acquire at a later time, Dominick Black had to own and possess that rifle in the interim. And the interim here is a significant amount of time, something like 6 months. And so you've got issues with this whole thing. In fact, Kyle never legally owned this firearm. That's one of the big major issues with the prosecution. Even on the night of the shootings, Kyle Rittenhouse is 17 years old.
What? The fact that Kyle never legally owned the rifle has what to do with the straw purchase? Are you insane? Well, okay, I'm being a little bit nicer now, but hey, every straw purchase I know does involve the other person not being the legal owner. If they could be the legal owner, you wouldn't have to go through a straw purchase.
And he is given the gun by Dominick Black, and that is not actually ownership. No transfer of ownership takes place between Dominick and Kyle that is recognized anywhere, has ever been testified to, was witnessed by anyone. None of that has ever happened.
Of course, because it wouldn't be legal for it to happen. Okay, so all of you out there, you big Nick Rekeita fans, think about this before attacking me. Think about this. Let's say that JoJo is a gangster. He is a leader of a local gang, and he wants to have somebody eliminated, okay? And he can actually legally buy a handgun because he's been able to stay out of trouble, but his hitman can't. So JoJo goes and he buys a gun and he gives it to the other dude, and the other dude takes it and keeps it in his house for any time that he needs to carry out a hit. And then one day, old JoJo calls him up, hey, take out Hector, I really pissed off at him or whatever. His hitman never legally owned the gun, but that is a straw purchase. He bought the gun for somebody else to use. So what is this legal ownership crap thing? Of course, Kyle never legally owned the rifle. He couldn't. If he could, he would have bought the rifle. Straw purchase is designed to prevent people who can't legally own a rifle to have somebody else buy it for them. And by the way, it even applies at the federal level if you can legally own the rifle. So if you buy a rifle for somebody else that can legally possess it, it's still a straw purchase. And don't argue with me on that. I have the Supreme Court ruling on it.
On the night of the shooting, this is still Dominick Black's gun by all legal claims that we can suss out. Now, whether or not they had a private conversation about it, we'll never know, because if they're smart, they would never, ever talk about that. But there's not even a hint of that going on. So this is the main issue with the straw purchase and probably why it wasn't charged. How the heck are you going to prove it?
Again, it wasn't charged because they couldn't charge him with it. Again, Kyle's possession of the rifle was a misdemeanor, and it is not against the law to purchase a rifle for somebody else as long as their possession of that rifle is not a felony. That's not true at the federal level. The laws change.
And there was never actually a transfer of ownership of the gun from Dominick Black to Kyle Rittenhouse, and all of the ownership appears to be in Dominick Black. And again, there's all sorts of circumstantial evidence of that ownership too. Dominick Black retaining possession and only giving it to Kyle while he's under some sort of supervision.
Again, I'm not arguing that he's wrong. I think he's right, but I would just like to see some actual codification of that premise that the straw purchase, for it to be a straw purchase, that the person has to take actual ownership possession of the item. I don't know.
And finally, the critical element of this is it's highly possible that Dominick Black could have either destroyed the gun, disposed of the gun, or transferred the gun to someone else without Kyle's consent, because Kyle never actually owned it. And Kyle might have complained about it, said, hey, I paid money for that or whatever. And Dominick Black would have said, my gun. That's theoretically how this could have worked out. Of course, that didn't happen and probably wouldn't happen because the two remain friends.
Well, okay, so let's go back to this. He's making a claim here that Kyle has no claims to the rifle. Kyle gave him money with the understanding that he would get the rifle in return. This is a civil matter. I don't know how it's going to shake out, but this idea somehow that Dominick Black is the legal owner and therefore Kyle has no claims to the rifle, I don't know. I mean, that sounds like a contract to me. If I give you money for a rifle and you say, well, I can't give you the rifle until you turn 18, I think that's a contract. Now you may be wondering, well, wait a minute. A person under the age of 18 can't engage in legal contracts. True, but that cannot be used to deny a minor what he considers rightfully his. So you can't use that law to bilk minors out of their money. So if a minor comes and gives you money for something, you can't say, well, you can't engage in a contract, so therefore that contract is null and void. It doesn't work like that. So I don't know if the contract between Kyle and Dominick is valid or not. It's a civil matter. It's going to have to be handled by a civil court if it comes to that. But let's not jump to conclusions here.
But this was never Kyle's gun, so you're not looking at a straw purchase here. So what was Dominick Black charged with? Well, he was charged with 2 counts of or not they would be able to stick 2 convictions on that is a different question that we'll probably never get to, because now there is a plea agreement on this case. Briefly, Kyle Rittenhouse did not illegally possess this firearm, and that is a huge problem with the underlying charge in this case, because the same set of facts exists for both Dominick Black and Kyle Rittenhouse.
I have a feeling, in my opinion, the fact that Kyle never legally possessed the rifle has no bearing whatsoever on anything. Has no bearing whatsoever. Sorry. I think you're wrong, Nick.
And it's the same actual statute with the same language that they're both charged under. Kyle Rittenhouse was charged with illegally possessing the gun as a minor, and Dominick Black as illegally providing the gun to a minor. And the language for both of those sections of the statute is substantially identical. There's no meaningful difference between them. So when you've got this issue, Kyle Rittenhouse gets his case dismissed, entirely dismissed. Everything is fine and everything is great for him on this charge. Obviously, he had to go through and be found not guilty of the other charges. But this one, it was found dismissed because Judge Schrader said, hey, the state has not shown any illegal activity throughout the trial, and they have not even alleged that there was an illegal aspect of this gun that would put it under the statute. So it was dismissed. By logic,
by the way, that's a really good way of phrasing it. He did a good job on that.
The same analysis should apply to Dominick Black's case, but there's been a little drama in regards to getting the charge dismissed for Dominick Black, with Thomas Binger allegedly stating that he would appeal this thing and run it up the chain if it was dismissed by Judge Schrader, who is also overseeing Dominick Black's case. So, were the judge to dismiss this, Binger has allegedly threatened to run this up to the appeals court, which would cost Dominick Black tens of thousands of dollars to fight this thing through an appeal, even if he's technically in the right. So rather than that happening, it looks like now a plea deal has been reached. And let me bring it up here. This is from the Kenosha County Eye. They were the ones to break this story, as far as I can tell. But this is the proposed plea agreement signed on Friday, January 7th by Dominick Black's attorney. It was,
by the way, everybody go subscribe to the Kenosha County Eye. An excellent news source. This is the same news source that was called a gossip blogger by James Krause during the trial. However, I have found their information to be far more factually correct than their competitors.
Proposed by Thomas Binger and signed on January 6th by him. So Binger is actually the one who brought this plea agreement out. There's a couple reasons for this. One, Binger probably knows that he can't, with integrity, sustain this prosecution in the way that he would need to.
Integrity? Binger? Okay.
To try and bring this through an appeal. I mean, for whatever you want to say about Thomas Binger, this is probably the best move he's made so far, because the prosecution of this, in my opinion, is entirely unethical when you know that you don't have it on the other thing, and the appeal threat seems to be completely punitive against Dominick Black. There does also seem to be maybe a groundswell of public pressure in support of Dominick Black, whereas before, Thomas Binger seemed to have kind of the media and the public on his side. He might have been seen as bungling the Kyle Rittenhouse case. Now, to be fair to Binger, who I am not a fan of, I don't think he bungled the Rittenhouse case in any way. He had what should have been an unwinnable case from the start, and he put forth probably the best prosecution that they could.
No, he didn't. If he was smart, and he's not, but if he was smart, he would only have filed charges against Kyle for the shooting of JoJo Rosenbaum. Those other two, Anthony Huber and Gage Grosskreutz, those were not winnable. If he had chosen instead to focus only on JoJo Rosenbaum and concentrate his resources there, he might have had a better chance. Instead, he filed a charge against Kyle for shooting somebody who pointed a gun at him. I mean, that was unwinnable. And he put the guy on a stand who essentially destroyed his argument, and anybody that had been following any of this could have told you that was going to happen. How did he miss that? So, no, I disagree with him. I think Binger really screwed up here.
With the facts and witnesses that they had. But that being said, Kyle's case should not have been prosecuted. Dominick Black's case definitely should not have been prosecuted at all.
See what I mean, by the way? Lawyers protect their own. You're not going to get vicious attacks on a lawyer by another lawyer. Sorry to tell you, Nick, but I think you really screwed up on a few things there. But that's okay. You're not the first person to have been straightened out on a thing or two by Johnnie Walker Dredd. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.